USC added another primetime playmaker to its 2026 recruiting class. And who knows? You never know. Maybe they add another one in 24 hours.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC. It's part of the Locked On Network. Your first listen every day. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube, wherever you want to download this podcast, this show is always going to be free, and this show always appreciates your support. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. I hope everyone had a fantastic, awesome 4th of July holiday weekend. Really do. Hope everybody followed the rules, listened, didn't blow off any fingers, set the house on fire. None of that stuff took place, right? Good. Because now you can enjoy USC getting their hands on wide receiver, Ethan Boobie Feasters. They got his commitment. Talked about it last week, said it was probably going to happen. Now it happened. Now we can confirm it. It's done. Heading into the weekend, there was a bunch of smoke from the Vatican, USC's Vatican, that had USC getting the nod over Texas A&M for the five-star wide receiver from the state of Texas. Here's an instance where you can use a different F word. It came to fruition. It happened. Quote, with USC, they have a great quarterback, throwing the receivers the ball with Lincoln Riley as the head coach. I love the coaching staff. I love the city around it. I love LA, and it's a great place to be in. And Coach Simmons, that's my guy. A couple of other reasons why USC was Feaster's choice. He said this after he made his announcement on July 4th. Quote, they showed me the difference between all the other 2026 receivers and me. They told me I was the best wide receiver in the class. Doesn't matter if it was 2025, 2026, or 2027. And that meant a lot. Seeing how open the wide receiver group is after this year at USC, I have a chance to start, and I have a chance to do something really incredible and really different. And I can be the first player out of DeSoto High School to sign with USC out of high school. End quote. So a lot of firsts there for Boobie. On paper, he is the best wide receiver in USC's 2026 recruiting class. Will he be better than Trenton Mosley or Roderick Tizano or Tron Baker or Luke Weaver? Well, the staff said he's the best. That's resonating. And it's hard to argue, with where his ranking is compared to everybody else's. Again, on paper, he is the best wide receiver in USC's class. According to the coaching staff, he's the best wide receiver in the entire cycle. And again, it doesn't matter if it was a 2025 kid, 2026, and let's not forget, Ethan was originally a member of the 2027 class before he reclassified. So that's how highly Coach Riley and Coach Dennis Simmons think of this young man. Pardon me. After he committed, he was actually asked, which wide receiver do you like to pattern your game after? Who do you try and imitate? And he, right off the bat, he said Jamar Chase. Played for LSU. Really good wide receiver, right? Plays in the NFL right now. One of the top guys in the league. Well, that's a good role model. There's not many other players you want to pattern your game after. It's a good choice. Here's the thing, though. His high school coach, Kerry Sweeney from DeSoto, he said he actually sees a lot of big Mike Williams in Booby Feaster. He thinks he can add significant weight and maintain his impressive athleticism. We have no doubt about that ourselves. That's according to his high school coach. And look, I know that Ethan has some really long arms. right? That's the first thing that stood out to me when I was watching his highlight film. It's why I kind of thought he was taller than 6'2", or whatever he's listed as. He has a similar catch radius to that of Mike Williams. So I think that's where he and where myself and his head coach, Kerry Sweeney, see some similarities. Here's the difference. Mike Williams was a legit 6'5". Booby, he's pushing 6'2" right now. But here's the bottom line is this: if Ethan can produce like Mike Williams or Jamar Chase, USC is going to be in really good shape. I mean, really good shape. So USC got the wide receiver they were looking for. 5-star, 4-star, elite blue chip prospect out of the state of Texas. USC beat out Alabama. They beat out LSU, and they beat Texas A&M. They beat both of those schools twice. They beat them on the field, and now they beat them on their recruiting field as well. I mentioned that USC might be getting another one. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it's possible. Jalen Lott, the other wide receiver, he's actually an athlete. He plays both sides of the ball. He is anticipated to make his announcement July 8th. So today is Monday, July the 7th. Tomorrow, maybe USC makes it happen. You never know. I'll say this. I don't think it's out of the question. It's going to come down to, playing time. Where does he see himself on the roster? So, if it's not USC, it might end up being Oregon. We'll see. But USC has 5 wide receivers in their class right now. And bottom line is this. The coaching staff told Ethan, you're the best. You're better than everybody else out there. You're best in our class. You're the best in the cycle. Now, I don't know if that rubbed Jalen Lott the wrong way. A lot of times, this is just coach speak. But, if you think you're the best, but you have the coaching staff telling somebody else that they're the best, maybe you go somewhere else. I don't know. We'll see. We won't have to wait long. 24 hours. We'll know. I also don't think, since we're talking about recruiting, I don't think USC is going to have to wait until the winter for interior offensive lineman Breck Kolejay. I don't think it'll take that long. I think with everything that's going on with NIL and revenue sharing, you probably don't want to be out there too long. That's all I'm going to say. So you got your wide receiver. You might get another one, an athlete. Jalen Lott can play safety as well as wide receiver. We know USC is trying to hook up with Breck Kolejay, the interior offensive lineman from IMG Academy. They might get their 2027 quarterback, make an announcement. Peyton Houston. Good friends. Very good friends with Booby Feaster. They want to play ball together in college. So we'll see. We'll see when that happens. We'll see when it takes place. Nevertheless, USC had a solid weekend. 4th of July weekend. I hope everybody had a great weekend. All right. We got 2 more segments coming up. I need you guys to make the call. And it seems easy, but it's not when I give you the choices. But 4th and goal, last play of the game, you need a touchdown to win. Who are you calling? No, you're not calling Ghostbusters. And then 3rd segment, we're going to get into that Monday mailbag. We're going to try and make that a regular feature here. All right. We've all been there. You log on, you get in line, you get in that cyber line, and you want to get that concert ticket. You've been holding out, you've been waiting for this concert. It's here. Tickets are on sale. And then for some reason, something happens. You lose your spot in line, and that show you wanted to go to, you've been dying to see, doesn't happen. You wasted all that time, all that effort, all that energy, and now you're in a bad mood. Well, live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Seriously, did you know that prices actually drop as it gets closer to the showtime? It's true. It does. That's what happens. Because of that, you can save up to 60% with their killer last minute deals. And you ever wonder what your view is going to actually look like when you buy those tickets online? The Game Time app shows you a panoramic seat view. There's no surprises at all. You know what you're going to see, what you're going to hear. And the Game Time, they give you that guarantee. The price you see is the price you pay. There's no hidden fees. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Last week, over there on wearesc.com, I asked a question. There's a poll question. If you could pick one running back in USC history to score on a goal line carry with a game on the line, who would it be? Well, I thought I'd make it easy. I gave 5 choices. I could have made it hard. I could have included a few more. I mean, USC's Mount Rushmore running backs, it has at least 5 busts. You can't just do 4. It's impossible. Too many good running backs. I mean, look, I even left Ricky Bell off this poll list. That shows you how deep Tailback U's tradition is. And right now I'm talking about the guys who you know, if you needed a touchdown at the goal line, they are going to get it for you. So you can pick one running back in USC history to score that goal line carry. Game on the line. Who are you picking? All right. Here's the list. Here were the choices. Charles White, Sam Bam Cunningham, Marcus Allen, Lendale White, and I threw Reggie Bush in there just because of the whole Bush push. Here's how it ended. So Charles White, got 9.6% of the vote. I actually thought Charles would have a higher percentage. Sam Bam Cunningham, he had 27.6% of the vote. Marcus Allen, exact number, 27.6%. Lendale White, he won. He had 27.9%. Reggie Bush, he kind of picked up in the tail end there. 7.4%. He probably really didn't belong on the list. But when you're one of the most accomplished running backs in USC history, you make every list. And you see where you pan out. In this case, Reggie Bush probably isn't your goal line guy unless you need him to push you over the goal line. That's why I included him. So I don't know, maybe it was recency bias, like one of the posters suggested. Why Lendale literally eked it out by 1 vote over Sam and Marcus. Like I said, I was mildly surprised to see Lendale White win over the guys like Sam Bam and Marcus Allen. Not because Lendale doesn't deserve it, but Marcus and Sam Cunningham, those were dudes. You could always count on them. And I'm not holding 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 against Lendale. That was a complete breakdown. You had Reggie on the sideline. Offensive lineman missed his assignment. Lendale, who was getting yards left and right in that game against Texas, this one time came up a yard short. Anyways, here's how I see things. Sam Cunningham, not only did he help integrate college football, he also made a living scoring touchdowns near the goal line for USC. Whether it was literally over the top, remember over the top? Remember John McKay pointing out to Woody Hayes in the Rose Bowl? He's going over. You could tell people what's happening, and Sam would still score a touchdown. So, yeah, he definitely belonged on the list. And like I said, I really thought he was going to be the winner of this poll. But, there's also guys like Charles White and Marcus Allen and Lendale White. I mean, like I said, each of those dudes deserves some consideration. Reggie Bush, he won the Heisman, and he barely received any votes. So let me just, kind of rattle off some statistics here. Sam Cunningham, he only scored 23 touchdowns during his career at USC from 1970 through 72. He did have 13 in 72. So, and like I mentioned, you have that situation against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. He earned MVP honors. Over the top. Marcus Allen. He scored 46 rushing touchdowns during his college career at USC. He played 4 years. Okay. He had 4,669 rushing yards. Over 2,000 of those came in one season. Don't forget, he played fullback for Charles White. That was the process. You had to go through that progression. You learned to block, then you learned to carry the rock. No blocky, no rocky. Speaking of Charles White, he had 49 touchdowns. I don't think anybody is going to argue hard with you or would argue hard with me when I said Charles White, the toughest son of a bitch to ever carry the ball for USC. I mean, and I'm just talking pound for pound size. I'm not saying that Ricky Bell or anybody was less tough than Charles White, but when you compare his size to guys who are much bigger, guys like Ricky Bell, Sam Cunningham, Lendale White, Marcus Allen. This is why Charles gets so much love from the Trojan family. So much love. Lendale White, he won the poll. 52 rushing touchdowns during his career at USC. And he was sharing a backfield with Reggie Bush. So who knows how many he would have ended up having had he just been the featured guy. And I'm using finger quotes there. There were times when he was the featured guy. But that's how good Lendale was. I mean, he was a monster. Just a man, he was such a great running back for USC. So again, the question was at the goal line. That's why I thought, for sure, Sam would run away with it, despite not having the most touchdowns of the group. And he played fewer years. Don't forget that. So it makes sense. But the more I thought about the question, I started to think about other programs. Who else can make a similar claim? Who else has a legit 4, maybe 5 guys that can get you a touchdown at the goal line when you need it? Let me give you a few examples. If I say Auburn, who do you think of immediately? Of course, Bo Jackson. Nobody else is better than Bo. Bo knows. Look, I still remember, like many of you, remember USC when they played Auburn back in 2002, 2003? And Auburn had the greatest backfield in the history of history. Jason Campbell at quarterback. You had Ronnie Brown, Cadillac Williams at running back. And those are 3, they were good. Don't get me wrong. But would you take Ronnie Brown or Cadillac Williams over Bo Jackson at the goal line? Of course not. And let's not forget, remember that game when USC traveled to Jordan-Hare? Tigers didn't just struggle to score against USC. That greatest backfield that had Jason Brown and Jason Campbell and Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams, those guys barely crossed midfield. And that's not hyperbole. USC shut them out 23-0. And they did not cross midfield until the second half. And I think it only happened twice. What happens if I say the name Georgia? Immediately, everyone's mind races to Herschel Walker. And they've had some good running backs throughout the years. But they don't have a list that's going to compare with USC's. What about Ohio State? Archie Griffin? Yes. Maurice Clarett? Probably. Now who else? See where I'm going with this? Texas. They've had some really good running backs. Ricky Williams, Earl Campbell. Tell you what, give me Earl Campbell or just throw the ball. What about Oklahoma? Again, some really good running backs throughout the years. Marcus Dupree, Billy Sims, Adrian Peterson. Which of those three? Who's getting you that touchdown at the goal line when you need it every single time? AP or Billy? Who are you going with? Probably AP by a thin margin. Name the other ones. I don't know. Maybe Alabama can choose from more than two. USC, though, class of its own. It's why USC's Mount Rushmore of Trojan running backs needs more than 4. You need 5 minimum. And like I said, I could have made this decision more difficult. I could have added Ricky Bell's name to the choices. Now how does the vote get split up? Anyways, I thought it would have been a little fun exercise. So I guess when you're done making Locked On USC, your first listen, your first watch every day, don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, click that red subscribe button. If you have, thank you. Now tell a friend, tell a family member. Let's keep these numbers growing. Smash that thumbs up, click that bell notification. All this. Send in your comments. All this continues to help. This is the people show. That's why I do this 5 times a week for you. All right, we got one more segment. We're going to do the Monday's mailbag. Get some more viewer participation. What do you guys have to say? Yeah, we're here. 54 more days away from USC kicking off the season. Missouri State Bears beat the Bears. So 54 more days. We're just a little over 2 weeks away from Big Ten Media Days. We're close, folks. We're really, really close. I talked about it last week on one of the episodes of Locked On USC, Big Ten Media Days. USC announced who they're bringing to Las Vegas with them. I was a little surprised that Lincoln Riley wasn't bringing a quarterback, Jaden Mayava. Instead, he's taken his starting left tackle, Elijah Page, his starting wide receiver, Mekhi Lemon, his starting safety, Kamari Ramsey. 3 outstanding choices. I said as much on the show. I talked about this last week, and some of you got all bent out of shape for me bringing up some talking points. Thinking, oh, you're trying to make something out of nothing. No. When I bring something up, there's a reason, and I explain it. I give you the rationale behind it. Some of you can stick your head in the sand and pretend like it's not a big deal. But there's a reason why I'm bringing it up. It's because of something Lincoln Riley has brought up. I use his own words, his own quotes to back up my argument. So again, I brought this up last week. Some of you got a little upset about it. Thinking, oh, Mark's trying to cause trouble. Others, I have other listeners who can think outside the box. Like an everydayer. His name is B22 Stinger. He brought up a really good point. He said, quote, when trying to change a culture that was quarterback centric to one that is defense first, it's probably not a bad idea to choose other players to speak at Big Ten Media Day, end quote. He's right. He brings it's a great point. Not to mention each of those guys, Elijah, Mekhi, Kamari, they could be playing their final season of college ball. Maybe this is Lincoln Riley's way of getting them some PR run. No big deal. Steve Dolan, another everyday listener, he took a more pragmatic look at the situation. Quote, I'm looking for a reliable quarterback who makes good decisions and when needed can get a few yards with his legs. I don't give a hoot if he is or isn't the spokesman for the team. Now, If for some reason he's not a team captain, that could be a cause for concern. Fight on, end quote. I don't know that he necessarily has to be a team captain, but I know where Steve was going with this, because this is where I'm coming from with this. I think what shocked me the most was that some USC fans, and it's their willingness just to look past certain things, forget what comes with the territory. I'll say it again. There's a reason why the quarterbacks always get their own interview time after practice. It's expected. It's part of the job description. Can you imagine the starting quarterback, not just at USC, but any program, not talking to the media after practice or after games? Well, you're saying, well, Mark, he's going to. He has to. Well, why? Why does he have to if he doesn't have to go to Big Ten Media Day? Same concept. So, again, this is not a knock on Jaden. I'm just giving you the devil's advocate point of view, playing a little contrarian here. Point is this: if he's going to be accountable after practice and after games to answer the questions from the media, dog and pony show, you can't say, well, he doesn't need to do it at the Big Ten Media Day. It doesn't make sense. You can't use that rationale. They don't coexist. Doesn't make any sense. They don't coalesce together. I won't say some of you are turning into soft serve ice cream, but some of you get really upset really easily. I know I can let my emotions get the best of me sometimes. Last week, Big Ten Squad Show. Say I got under my skin just a little bit when the host rattled off his own personal power rankings that made no sense. We talked about it on the show. I came back with my top 10 3 weeks before Media Day. My Big Ten Conference power ranking: Penn State 1, Ohio State 2, Illinois 3, USC 4, Oregon 5, Nebraska 6, Indiana 7, Washington 8, Iowa 9, and I put Michigan in there at number 10. Right? A bunch of you guys had your own rankings. You all sent me and said, hey, Mark, here's mine. Let me show you mine. I don't have time to read everybody's. I'm going to give you two. This one's from Dan Berman, 6848. Again, everyday listener. Said this is based on waiting to see if USC can prove they have an effective offense and can win on the road. Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Illinois, Nebraska. He had USC at 6, Michigan at 7, Indiana 8, Washington 9, Iowa 10. Bob Springer, again, another everyday viewer listener. I appreciate you guys. I really do. He said Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana at 4, USC at 5, Michigan, Nebraska, Illinois, Iowa. Michigan State snuck in there. Apparently, we've got a big Jonathan Smith fan. So you can see everyone's pretty much kind of in the same alignment, same names, maybe flip-flopped here and there. 1 and 2, the same. Penn State, Ohio State. All the way across. Now, depending on where you want to rank 3, 4, 5, and 6, that's where things kind of get, pull a name out of the hat and see where they end up. And then finally, viewer mail, before we get out of here for this episode. This one comes from Adrian Hobbs. I've got a chance to meet Adrian before. Really cool guy. In fact, I'm going to be doing over there on wearesc.com a meet and greet in Arizona on July 10th at the Yard House, 6 p.m. So if you are in town, west side of Phoenix, West Valley, over there by Glendale Stadium, come join us. You're always welcome. Anyways, this is from Adrian Hobbs. That I really enjoyed the show today that you did with Craig Sheeman, the host of the Big Ten show on the Locked On Network. I would love it if you could bring him on the show weekly to discuss USC's Saturday opponents and Big Ten games each week. Adrian, thank you. Also, I had a great time doing that episode with Craig. Really knowledgeable dude. Now, I'll pass that along, see if we can make that happen. He's a busy guy, though. We'll see. But I concur. It was a great episode. Mr. Big. So if you didn't catch that episode, it's called, how can USC make themselves Mr. Big? I was talking about Craig Sheeman. I call him Mr. Big from the Big Ten Network, from the Big Ten show on the Locked On Network. All right. There you go. Another episode in the books. I'll be back again tomorrow. We'll see if there's some more recruiting news information, any updates. I'll bring it here. Start diving into the team, getting in those position groups. Looking forward to the season. We're close, folks. We are close. 54 more days. All right. Till that next episode, everyone, you know what to do.